I'm going to show you today how I make homemade cornmeal tortillas, Mexican style. This is using the maseca. This is how Julian taught me to make it. To be honest, I'm not as good at it as he was. Anyway, what you need is the maseca. Probably about 2.5 to 3 cups is what I have here. And I can't really tell you measurements. I do it by feel. So you need the maseca, salt. Do you see that? Salt, water, and you will start by sprinkling just a little salt to taste in the maseca. And I think once it's mixed, it's called masa. If I'm saying that wrong, my Hispanic friends can tell me. So you get the salt mixed up in there, and this is a messy process. So, and I have fake nails on, so I made sure my hands were good and clean before I start this process. And you start adding water, just enough at a time. I'm not going to add all of that because it may be too much. And I like to use warm water. I don't know why, I just feel like it mixes better. And you keep folding it in and mixing it until it gets to a consistency that it doesn't stick to your hands. But you don't want it too dry. You don't want it like have a wet sand consistency. You want it to be wet enough to, you know, you can form a nice ball with it. And I already have my griddle over here heating up, and I have it on just about the highest setting. You don't want to put this on too low of a setting because they just won't cook right. Once I get to a certain consistency with it, I just add a little bit of water at a time. You also don't want them too wet because they will stick to the plastic in the tortilla smasher, and that's messy. So you can see the more I'm mixing, the less it's sticking to my hands. It's actually starting to stick to itself and not to me. You want to make sure you fold it in there really, really good. And I think I have enough water in that. That is a very nice consistency. This thing is ancient, guys, but this is the one Julian bought probably about 11, 12 years ago. And it still works. He had to put a nail in it to replace the little screw mechanism there. But what I do is just take a plastic bag. Now, I have found what Julian taught me is the grocery bags work the best because it doesn't stick. When you try to cut a Ziploc bag or something up like that, it just doesn't work as well. Let me make sure you can see it. Yeah, okay. And this has a printed side, but I always make sure the printed side is up and not touching the food product, because the ink will transfer and that's yucky. But you just cut 2 circles out of a grocery bag, and they're the right consistency of plastic that you can use them. Plastic wrap or a Ziploc bag just won't hold the way the grocery bag does. So anyway, you're going to roll your tortilla, your masa, into about a 1-inch ball. It doesn't have to be all that neat. Just give it a little smash with your hand. And you don't push it all the way down. I'm not making these really super thin. You just turn it around and give it a slight smash again. And you'll take it and put this side down. This griddle is super hot. You're going to see it bubbling up like that immediately. Don't touch it. Don't try to move it. Don't try to do anything with it. Just get a spatula. Julian used to use his hands, and I always burn my hands. And plus, I have acrylic nails on, and I don't want to burn them, and that would hurt. Most of the Hispanic markets around here sell a hot plate that touches 2 burners on your stove, and you can cook 2 at a time. Julian's tortillas always would fluff up when he would cook them, and he was so good at doing that. I usually can't. I get lucky and get 1 or 2 of mine to do that, but not always. Don't ever call them tortillas. We used to do that to irritate Julian, and he would go nuts and say, "It's tortilla, woman." One way you can tell that your heat might be a little high is when you see these little puffs. So you might want to bring your heat down just a little bit, but you do want it to be kind of high. One way you can tell that they're good to flip or they're doing good is they'll slide around on the pan unless you burn the pan a little bit like I did. Make one puff up. Yeah, they puffed a little bit. When they're good, when they're well made, I should put it that way, when you do that second flip and you kind of press down on them, they will puff up really pretty. And those are the best tortillas. But I'm not trying to pretend to be really good at this. Okay, there we go. There's one. Can you see that one puffing up? That is a good one. You let it puff. Let it sit on the pan for a minute. Take it off, put it in your bowl that you hopefully have set aside to put them in. And keep them covered. You don't want them, once you've cooked them and you put them in the bowl, you don't want them to get cold. These are the best when they're fresh. And they may feel a little stiff when you first take them off the heat, but while they're in this covered bowl, they'll get, loose. Soft. This is the word I'm looking for. That one looks like it'll puff. Yay! Can you see it? See it puffing up? Yeah. Maybe you can't. Alrighty. That's it, y'all. Homemade corn tortillas. These I almost burned because I had to turn my camera on, get the charger for my camera. So that's it. I'm going to keep making these because I got to get them ready for the tacos. I'll see y'all later. Peace. Bye-bye.